Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session, day 1 of Information and Communication Technology, ICT. We have covered the 9 topics. Only one session from logical reasoning is remaining of Indian logic system, and that will be on Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. Today we will start, today and tomorrow, we will be talking about Information and Communication Technology, ICT. So as you can see here, the main topics in ICT are history of computers, computer hardware, and computer software, which also includes questions from MS Office and about cyber security, that is malware, because it is also a kind of software. Basics of internet, basics of email, ICT and governance, and digital initiatives in higher education. Okay. So let's start with history of computers. Before 1450, we had abacus, Napier's bones, Pascaline, and Leibniz wheel. Okay. Now see, the thing with ICT is all the questions here, we do not have to use any logic. We do not have, except the question for binary systems, we do not have any formulas which you need to memorize or something. Okay. Once you understand the concept, you will be able to solve the questions. No. Here, everything is more of understanding, and based on that, rote memorization. You have to remember dates, you have to remember names, you have to remember full forms. And for most of the cases, there is no answer to the question, why is it called so? Unless you actually are a computer engineer and you know the reason behind why something has been named so. Because a lot of names are such that they do not relate to the function, but rather there is a history behind why that thing was named like that. Okay, so the easiest way is to memorize the terms. Memorize, why is a microchip called a microchip? Because it is a microchip. It is small. However, there are a lot of other words. It could have been called mini chip. It could have been called nanochip. Why is it called only microchip? Why is it only called a microprocessor? It is called a microprocessor because it is a microprocessor. This is how the logic goes. So now you need to transition from logic to the class where there is lot of details and there's a lot of rote memorization. It is similar to communication, but it's just that there are no theories or models in this topic. Okay, so with that mindset, let's start again. Pre-mechanical age before 1450, abacus, Napier's bones, Pascaline, and Leibniz wheel. This is just for your information. So far, I have not seen a question based on this, but who knows? Next, Charles Babbage is called father of computer. He built difference engine to compute polynomial functions. It's a mathematical term. And analytical engine in 1837 for the first concept of general purpose computing. Okay. Ada Lovelace was the person who wrote algorithms for Babbage's machine. She is the first computer programmer. Now this was 1450 to 1840, mechanical age. Then came the electromechanical age, 1840 to 1940, where Herman Hollerith developed punch card system for US Census, and he later founded the company, which today is IBM. Z3 computer, first electromechanical computer developed by Konrad Zuse in Germany. And then comes the electronic age from 1940 to present. Okay, it's not generation, it's generation. Okay, so questions have always been asked on generations of computers, and you need to know which computer belongs to what generation. I hope this is now better to understand. Okay. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. The first generation computer was 1940 to 1956, called ENIAC and UNIVAC. Okay. They were very, very large, almost as large as a big hall, slow in speed, and used to produce high amount of heat. The technology used was vacuum tubes. One of the favorite questions is which technology was used in which generation? Whether it is vacuum tubes for first generation, transistors for second, integrated circuits for third, and microprocessors for fourth, AIML quantum for fifth. From first to fourth, what was used in those generation of computers has always been a favorite question. Okay. Second, 1956 to 1963, transistors. IBM 1401, comparatively smaller, faster, and cheaper. In third generation, 1964 to 1971, sometimes they don't give the name of the generation, they give them the years. That in this year, what was used. So that is why you need to remember the years. Integrated circuits, IBM 360 was one of those computers which had integrated circuits, multitasking, and less power. From 1971 till today, even right now, what we have as the technology is microprocessors, like Intel 4004. Now we have Intel Pentium and stuff like that. It is portable, powerful, and GUI is graphical user interface. Okay, these are the key features of today's computers, the fourth generation. Now, a fifth generation computer has also arrived, which is using AI, that is artificial intelligence, ML, that is machine learning, and quantum. It is used in robotics and super expert systems. It is self-learning and intelligent. That is its key feature. Okay. So far they have not asked a question on fifth generation, but in case they ask, that is how it is called. These are some historical details which you need to memorize. Right from when Charles Babbage developed the first computer to Alan Turing proposed Turing machine. Then ENIAC, the first electronic general purpose computer came. Fortran and COBOL, which are programming languages, they were developed in 1950s. First microprocessor, Intel 4004, 1971. Then personal computers came in 1980s, like IBM PC, Apple, those big boxes which we can have at our homes. 1990s, internet and GUI became widespread. 2000s, mobile computing, smartphones arrived, and cloud storage was developed. Like we have our emails stored in Gmail, Amazon Web Services. The entire data of Netflix is stored in AWS. Okay, so when you click on that movie name, from where does the movie come? It is stored somewhere in the cloud. That is called cloud storage. 2010s, AI, ML, big data, data science boomed, and now quantum computing research is constantly expanding. 2 years back when ChatGPT came, the world changed, and it will still change more if Meta becomes successful in what their research is, what they are. Almost ago, their research failed. They were not able to get the results they wanted. They are still working on it. But so far from what they have shown in the trailer, it's going to change the world. Next, types of computer by sizes. Should I increase the font size? Is it visible? Yep. Okay. Supercomputer. Param is the Indian supercomputer. Cray is another example. Then you have mainframe computers like IBM Z series, mini computer like PDP-11, microcomputer, which is a desktop and laptop that we use at home. And embedded computers are the ones which are used in washing machine, microwaves, where where we don't use them directly like we use it where we use a laptop, but rather it is a machine that still computes something. In a washing machine, it analyzes what is the weight of the clothes, what amount of time should be there for rinse cycle, wash cycle. In a microwave, when you click on preheat, it knows that it has to preheat. How much time should it keep the machine on, and then automatically it closes. Okay, so that is still a computer. I think our televisions now should also probably fall in that category, but I'm not sure. ENIAC. Key points to remember from this are: ENIAC is first electronic general purpose computer. These are the questions which have over the years been favorite. Charles Babbage is the father of computer. Ada Lovelace is the first programmer. Transistor, second generation. Microprocessor, fourth generation. AIML, fifth generation. First generation was vacuum tubes. Okay, please remember that. This is a question that has been asked many times. This column is very, very important. So now we'll solve a few questions based on this topic. Uh-oh. I guess we cannot solve those questions. We'll solve them tomorrow, I guess. Okay, so I'll tell you, two of those questions were about second generation and fourth generation, what was used. Apart from it, one important question is this one: who developed the first mouse? Douglas Engelbart. This question has been asked, although you won't find it anywhere in any kind of notes for UGC NET. This question has been asked. So this is what I wanted to share, that this was the most important thing from history of computers. Douglas Engelbart is the person who developed the first mouse. Clear with this? Okay. Just give me a moment. Which of the following electronic technologies is the key technology for making personal computer in the 1970s? Now, this is a question which has been asked in last 2-3 years. So what's the answer? 1970s. So yes, the answer is 3. Now this same question is also asked like this: making fourth generation electronic computer. Okay. So in one paper it was 1970s, in some paper it was fourth generation. There was also a question for second generation. Okay. The next topic is hardware. So what is hardware? Okay. A computer, all the parts that you can touch in a computer or a laptop is called hardware. Like I can touch my keyboard, so that's a hardware. I can touch the screen, I can touch the camera, it's a hardware. Okay. If you attach a printer to it, if you attach a mouse to it, that's also your hardware. Your pen drive, memory card reader, mic, all of the things which you can attach along with that. Okay. That is all a part of hardware. All the programs which run inside the computer, which we cannot see, but we can experience that something is computing things, that is called software. So let's cover the hardware portion first. Physical components of a computer system that you can touch and see. So see, these are some of the basics that we might have studied in school. If you had a school where computer was a subject, or if you probably took the subject in your boards, and if you are someone who's using a laptop, which you should, because in any profession, even in education nowadays, it is a good thing to be aware of the new technologies. Then what I'm going to share today is mostly going to be a quick recap of the basics. Okay. Input devices. The list is long, but not difficult to understand. Keyboard, mouse, a scanner where you put a page and it converts images into digital form. A microphone. If you what should I say? If you plug a mic, that's a microphone. Webcam, where audio is input. You can also connect your webcam externally to the laptop or the computer. Joystick is used for gaming. It goes front, back, and two sides. It's for gaming, but it can be connected to the PC. Probably PlayStations could be something of that sort. Touchpad. In a laptop, we have a touchpad where we just move the finger instead of moving the mouse. Finger movements control the cursor. A light pen is a pen that can be connected to the screen, and it is used to point or select on the screen. If you see in certain coaching classes, they have whiteboards with which pens are connected in this way. Okay, so that is called a light pen. Trackball is just like a mouse, but it's in the shape of a ball and it moves the cursor on the screen. So these are all input devices. They gather data from somewhere outside and then feed it into the computer. Clear? Okay. Another list of input devices, the not so common ones. Digitizer converts hand-drawn images or coordinates like location coordinates, image coordinates, dots on an image, all of that into digital data. MICR, the full form has been asked and the meaning has also been asked in exam. Magnetic ink character recognition. It reads the special characters on checks. Check, checkbook, money. OCR, optical character recognition. It scans printed text and converts it into digital text. So when you convert images into text, OCR, optical character recognition, is the technology which reads those letters from the image and converts them into text. Barcode reader, it scans the barcode data. If you go to shopping in a mall, then they scan the barcode on the whatever you are buying. So that's a barcode scanner. It is also an input device. OMR, optical mark recognition. It reads mark data on forms like multiple choice answers. Earlier we used to, in pen and paper test, we used to have those pages where you had to circle the circles for A, B, C, D, and when put it in OMR, it would read the sheets. We used to also call them OMR sheets, the answer sheets. Okay, so OMR is optical mark recognition. And the last one is RFID, radio frequency identification. It uses radio waves to identify and track objects. These objects are tagged, so that is why it can recognize them. The full form is radio frequency identification. Clear with this? input devices. Next, output devices. Monitor displays visual output. Printer prints text images on screen. Now, see, wherever in the computer or laptop where you can see these things, like where I can see all of you, where I can see my PPT, that is called the monitor. Printer is connected to the computer and it prints. Speaker, if you are connected on a laptop, then from where you can hear my sound is the speaker. Projector, from the computer, something is projected on that white curtain. That is why projector is an output device. Plotter draws high precision graphics on paper, like engineering drawings. So you have some image or a figure created in your laptop, and using a plotter, that plotter will draw the same exact thing on the paper when it is connected to the laptop. So it is also an output device. Clear with this? Okay. So input devices are keyboard, mouse, scanner. Output devices are monitor, printer, speakers. Now, touch screen on a laptop with a touch screen, where you can't just only see things, but also select things directly on the screen. Pen drive, with which you can insert the data as well as you can carry the data out, and a modem. Both of them are, all three of them are I/O devices. They are both input and output devices. Please remember this if a question is ever asked. From this, what kind of questions can be asked? They probably give input, output, I/O on one side, and then devices on the other side, and then they say match A with B. Or they make statements like a touchscreen is both an input and output device. A monitor is an input device. Which of the two statements is then you have two options. Statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is false. Statement 1 is false, statement 2 is correct. Both are correct, both are false. So all of these things can be prepared. Questions like this are prepared from such kind of data. Okay. Which of the following devices are computer input devices only? DVD-R, joystick, plotter, touchpad, microphone. One, two, three, four. You have to choose. The answer is 2. Okay. DVD can also be an output device. Joystick, touchpad, and microphone. Plotter is an output device. Based on the drawings in the computer, it draws outside. So it's an output device. Next. Which of the following devices are computer output devices only? Scanner, plotter, light pen, projector, speaker. So what is the function of a scanner? Will someone share with me? Has anyone here used a scanner? What happens in a scanner? A scanner looks like a Xerox machine. You put a document there, it will scan it, and you will be able to see things on the computer screen. Okay? So it's an input device. It is not an output device. The answer is 4. Because light pen is an input device. So that won't be your answer. Next. I'll just make it a bit bigger. Okay. Automatic data capture method. OCR, OMR, RFID, MICR. On the other side, you have 4 descriptions. System that reads pencil or pen marks on a piece of paper in predetermined positions. System that reads character printed in a special ink, for example, characters written at the bottom of a bank check. Reading data directly from hard copy and converting into computer readable form. Use of minute electronic devices containing microchip and antenna that can read from distances up to a few minutes. So your answer is 3. OCR, optical character recognition, reads data directly from hard copy and converts into computer readable form. OMR, reads pen or pencil marks on paper. RFID, it uses minute electronic devices that can read from distances, and MICR is reads characters on a special ink, just like bottom of the checks. Now, several times I saw questions based on printers. So I thought, let me just take printers in a bit of detail because it's something that UGC NET examiners love. There are 2 kinds of printers, impact printers and non-impact printers. Impact printers are those printers where the printer touches the paper to print it. And non-impact papers are, printers are where it does not directly touch the paper. So let's look at the impact printers. They print by striking a ribbon against a paper. Dot matrix, it uses tiny pins to strike ink ribbon. It is very noisy, used for multi-copy printing. Now, impact printers are the older versions. Non-impact printers are the newer ones. Okay, so that is what you need to remember first of all. That impact printers are older, non-impact printers are newer. So if you see their speed and quality, that would be lower as compared to the non-impact printers. Dot matrix, UGC NET also calls it data matrix printer. However, there is no such thing as data matrix printer. Okay, it was probably typing error or something. Once the question has been asked based on dot matrix printer, but they called it data matrix. And options also included other printers. The speed is 100 to 600 characters per unit. Okay. DPI, dots per inch, is how the resolution is. Just like for computer screen or monitor, we say pixels. Similarly for printing, we find the resolution, how the clarity based on dots per inch. Daisy wheel is letter quality output like a typewriter, very slow. And a line printer prints entire line at once. It is used in very old large systems where there are old printing presses. This is still used. The speed is 600 to 1200 lines per minute. Okay. Now, non-impact printers, the printers which we use in nowadays, inkjet, sprays ink, good for color images, for photographs, low cost, moderate speed, 5 to 15 pages per minute, 300 to 1200 DPI or dots per inch. Laser printer, It uses laser beam and toner. It is very fast and it is of high quality. Okay. Thermal printer uses heat sensitive paper. The paper is sensitive to heat, and that is why there is a print on it. It is used in billing machines. When you go to malls, the bills are printed on using thermal printer. It's a heat sensitive paper, and over the time, the whatever is written on it will fade away. LED printer, similar to laser printer, but it uses LED instead of laser. It has very fewer moving parts, so it is less noisy, and it is faster and quieter than laser printer. The quality and range of resolution is kind of similar to laser printer, could be sometimes lower. Okay, but it is faster and quieter, so it is more used in offices. Based on usage, if they ask which printer is used where and comparatively how their speed and DPI ranges. So this table shows you that inkjet is very high quality and used for color images, photographs. Okay, but it is very slower. Laser printer for text heavy documents, it is used in offices. LED is also used in offices. It is faster compared to inkjet printer. Photo printer is another type of non-impact printer which is used for professional photo printing. Its DPI ranges, its quality is higher than that of inkjet printer, but the speed is moderate. Dot matrix printer, continuous forms, multi-part prints, but it is moderate speed but very noisy, and the DPI range is very low. And last, thermal printer for receipts and labels, low to medium. The print quality is very the speed is very fast, but the print quality is low to medium. And also, as it is thermal paper, over the time, you will see that the print fades away. If you keep bills from the malls, you will see that after a few months, it has become a white paper. So that was all about printers. You can solve this question now. Here, data matrix printer means dot matrix printer. There's no such thing as data matrix printer. In computers, which of the following statements is true? Data matrix printer is a type of non-impact printer. Laser printer is a type of impact printer. The resolution of laser printer is measured in megabits per second. And data matrix printers are noisy, low quality, and slow in comparison to laser printers. Only one statement is out of this. Yes. The answer is 4. Why the answer is 4? Because data matrix or dot matrix printer is actually an impact printer, the older one. Laser printer is a non-impact printer where there are no ribbons put. It directly prints. The resolution is measured in dots per inch. So only 4 is true. Next. Now, this is also a kind of question which is asked where they give a paragraph and it has 5 blanks. There are A, B, C, D, E, 5 options which you need to fill in the 5 blanks. Now, the sequence of this is given in the options, and from there you have to choose the correct answer. That is how the question goes. Okay. Add a and dash allows a user to write on a surface using a pen, and the text and drawings can then be captured and stored for later use. Dash printer produces a hard copy of a document using dash and piezoelectronic technology. A dash printer uses a dash drum and positive negative charges to produce a hard copy of document. Yes, the answer is two. Answer is 2. So first of all, if you read the question, you realize that out of whatever is given, interactive whiteboard is the one that fits. So accordingly, option 3 and 4 are anyways gone. Now our choice is between option 1 and 2. The first answer is interactive whiteboard. Now you should have names of printers. So you have laser printer and inkjet printer. So what uses dash and piezoelectronic technology? Inkjet printer uses thermal bubble and piezoelectronic technology. Remember this: inkjet printer, thermal bubble, piezoelectric, whereas laser printer uses rotating drum. Okay, and positive negative charges to produce hard copy of a document. A hard copy is Xerox or a printout actually, not a Xerox, sorry. That would just be a copy. A page printout, hard copy. Next, processing device. So we are talking about hardware. We talked about input devices and output devices. Now we'll talk about the processing device, which actually works on whatever data we are giving in and whatever data is being taken out. It is the brain of the computer that processes all operations, also called CPU, Central Processing Unit. CPU is made up of ALU and CU. ALU plus CU is equal to CPU. CPU executes instructions and processes data. It is made up of ALU and CU. ALU is arithmetic logic unit which performs all calculations and logical operations, whether it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, greater than, lesser than, equal to, if not true. All these operations are performed by ALU. Control unit directs the operation of the processor. It tells the computer's memory, ALU, and other I/O devices how to respond to whatever instructions are given. And registers. Registers is not something that makes up the CPU, but you need to know the meaning of this word. A register is a small fast memory which is located inside the CPU, and it is used to store intermediate data or instructions. That is called a register. Clear with this? Okay. So with reference to computers, which of the following statements are correct? Okay. So there are 5 statements given about CPUs, the control processing unit of a computer, and you need to find out or select which are the correct. CPU follows fetch, decode, execute, store cycle to run instructions. Intel and AMD are 2 manufacturers of CPUs. The clock speed of a CPU is usually measured in megabytes. Fans are required to cool down most CPUs so that they do not overheat. CPU is the brain of computers, and modern CPUs cannot have multiple processing cores. Now, if you see, E is not even given in the options. So modern CPUs can have multiple processing cores. That is one. Now, out of A, B, C, D, you have to choose which ones do you think can be correct. Of course, I'll tell you the answer. One, two, three. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. The answer is 4. C is wrong. The rest of them are correct. C and E are false. CPU follows fetch, Fetch is to collect, then decode, then execute, and store it in the memory. This cycle to run instructions. Second, Intel and AMD are two manufacturers of CPU. That's true. The clock speed of a CPU is measured in hertz, Hertz, hertz. How many functions are done per second in that way. Okay, it is not measured in megabytes. Megabytes is about memory storage. How much memory, how much storage is done. It is for storage, not for clock speed of CPU. And the fans are required to cool it down. That's true. And CPU, although it is the brain, it can have multiple processing cores. That's why E is false. Next, storage devices. So we just talked about megabytes. Storage devices are those devices which are used to store data and programs. Okay. You must have heard of all these words. Primary storage is RAM and ROM. Random access memory, read-only memory. Okay. Secondary storage is hard disk drive and SSD, solid state drive, a CD and a DVD. Okay, all these are secondary storages. Portable storage. Portable means which can be moved from one place to another very easily. That is USB flash drive and memory card. Cloud storage is where things are stored in the internet computing cloud. They are not stored on some device, but rather on the cloud servers. Okay, somewhere like when you open your Gmail, where are your emails stored? Where are your attachments stored? They are stored in the cloud. Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. are cloud storages. Amazon Web Services, AWS. Okay. Now, these storage devices can also be classified into types in another way. Magnetic and optical. Like in one, magnetized platters are used to read data. Like in hard drive and floppy disk. Floppy disk used to be there when I was in school. Nowadays, we don't use floppy disk drives. It was what? 20 years ago, 20 plus years back, we used to have floppy disk. Optical, CD, DVD, Blu-ray, all of them are read using laser beams. Okay. So based on this, identify the correct order of the following storage devices A to D, that is DVD, hard disk, CD-ROM, and Blu-ray disc, as per their increasing data storage capacity. Take a guess. In the ascending order of how much data can be stored in them. Based on, I'm sure, hard disk is there inside the laptop. DVD, where we store movies and family videos and stuff like that. Similarly, CD-ROM, Blu-ray disc. If you give answers, at least when your answer is wrong, you will be able to remember the correct sequence. And if your answer is correct, so anyways, there's no problem. What's the harm in giving an answer? The answer is first. Okay. CD-ROM has the lowest storage capacity, followed by a DVD. Okay, imagine a CD. If a CD can store one movie, a DVD stores 4 movies that way. This is followed by a Blu-ray disc, and the hard disk has the maximum capacity among all this. Okay, now we talked about storage devices on which things are stored. But how are they stored? They are stored using memory. So let's talk about memory. It is used to temporarily or permanently store data. There are 4 kinds of memories: RAM, random access memory, ROM, read-only memory, cache memory, and virtual memory. So RAM is temporary, volatile. It is erased on shutdown. So, that if you have not shut down your laptop or computer properly, The moment you open it, it says autosave has found a version of a copy of your, what should I say, the document. Do you want to save it? That way, if you have not saved it. Because when you save it, it goes into ROM, permanent non-volatile. But when you are not saving things, it is temporarily held in the RAM. If you have not clicked Control S, if you close it down, it goes away. Cache memory is a small high-speed memory between CPU and RAM. Virtual memory is that part of hard drive which is used as extra RAM. Next, ROM is of 4 kinds. Read-only memory, which is permanent memory for storage. It is of 4 kinds. Read-only, that is pre-written, like BIOS. We will talk about BIOS in the upcoming slides. PROM, that is programmable ROM. It can be written once. EPROM, erasable programmable ROM. It can be erased using UV light. So if you remember, we used to have DVD writers or CD writers. Only using that you could write on CDs. Otherwise, you could not. There used to be a portable CD writer which I had to connect with my computer, and only then the CDs can record those things. Erasable programmable ROM. And EEPROM is electrically erasable programmable ROM. So electrically erasable ROM, which can be erased and reprogrammed electrically. BIOS is stored in EEPROM in modern computers. This is an important thing to remember. Where is BIOS stored? Either the option is ROM, or if different kinds of ROM are given, then EEPROM is your option. Why is BIOS so important? Where do we have BIOS? Yeah, BIOS is here. It will come after a few slides. Please wait. Let's finish the topic of memory and then we will go to BIOS. BIOS is related to the booting process when you start the computer, so start the device. Memory type: registers, cache memory, RAM, hard disk or SSD, and optical disk or tape. A comparison of this is given because questions have been asked based on that, which one is a faster memory and which one is volatile and non-volatile. Volatile is the memory which is not permanently stored, and non-volatile is where things are permanently stored. Registers, a small memory in CPU, fastest, volatile. It forgets once you close the device. Cache memory is again very, very, very fast, but it is volatile. RAM, fast, volatile. Hard disk is slower, but it is permanent. Optical disk and tape is the slowest of all, but it is again permanent. Cache memory is faster than RAM, but it is smaller in size than RAM. Okay? Clear with this? Volatile, non-volatile memory and their speeds of comparison. Okay. Next. Which of the statements about ROM are correct? A. The contents of the memory remain intact even when the power to ROM is switched off or turned off. Sorry. ROM is often used to store the startup instructions when the computer is first switched on. That is, ROM is used to store BIOS. That is what they are asking. As the ROM becomes full, the processor has to continually access the hard disk. ROM is a volatile memory. Which of these are correct? The answer is 1. Only A and B. RAM is a volatile memory. ROM is a permanent non-volatile memory. Okay, and ROM is the memory which is there in the which is there stored permanently, so it will not access the hard disk. But yes, once you switch off or turn off the device, that memory will remain intact because it is permanent memory. So A and D are opposite of each other. So either A is true or D is true. Keeping the question aside for a moment, the contents of the memory remain intact even when the power is turned off. That means it is non-volatile. And D says that it is volatile. So A and D cannot be together. It is either A or it is either D. Does that make the meaning of the word volatile clear? Yes? Okay. So ROM is non-volatile. RAM is volatile. Volatile means when you shut off the device, it goes away. See, what is volatile? Volatile is something which is very fast in reaction and then it, after some time, it is no longer there. Non-volatile is something that is stable, calm. So similarly, non-volatile memory is there which is stable for a longer time. Volatile memory is closed. Once you shut off the device, it evaporates. Remember it that way. It's like steam. It evaporates. Next. It's match A with B. RAM, cloud storage, Blu-ray disc, flash memory. A storage medium that stores data on internet. Internal storage where current instructions are stored. A solid state storage that is used in digital cameras. And an optical storage medium that stores high definition movies. Okay, so here the only thing which we can remember very easily is cloud storage. So when I see internet and cloud storage and no other option that matches, then A2 is confirmed. These movies and CDs that we used to get of songs before 20 years, 25 years, they were called Blu-ray disc. So that is something that has to store movies. And then what remains is digital camera memory is called flash memory, and internal storage where current instructions are stored is RAM. The moment you will switch off the device, those current instructions will go away. Okay, so that's your answer, 3. Clear with the concept of memory? Moving on to the next concept. Motherboard. The main circuit board that holds the CPU, memory, and connectors is called motherboard. If you open your laptop and repair it, so what you see inside is the motherboard. This is just for your information. It is called the nervous system of the computer because it controls everything. It gives orders, like brain gives orders to the body using nervous system, that way. Ports and cables. USB port, where we put our pen drive in, that is called a USB port. The full form is Universal Serial Bus. Okay. HDMI, high definition video audio output. VGA ports used to be there. They are not there in newer laptops. It is for video display again. Audio jack is where you connect your microphones and headphones. That is small circle. That is called audio jack. Ethernet port is the port where you connect the local internet. You know, if you have a wire of, in our offices, our PCs are connected with there's a rectangle shape and there's another mini rectangle, that kind of port. That's called the Ethernet port. And the power cable is what supplies electricity to the laptop and to the computer. These are the ports and cables connected to the laptop or computer. Firmware. Just like we have hardware and software, there is something called firmware, which is a bridge between hardware and software. It's kind of a software, but it is used to run the hardware. So it cannot be changed easily by users. We cannot change the firmware which is embedded in the laptop easily. It is stored in ROM. To be more specific, EEPROM. For example, BIOS. What is BIOS? Basic Input Output System. So the moment you switch on your laptop, let's say it was shut down. The moment you switch it on, there's the logo of the company and there's something going on where you have to wait for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, depending on how old your laptop is and how fast the processor is. So what is happening is that booting process happens the moment you start your computer. That process is called booting. Who does booting? BIOS, Basic Input Output System. Where is it stored? It is stored in ROM, read-only memory, which is the non-volatile memory of your computer. Firmware is not a software as it cannot be modified by users. It is a semi-permanent software which is embedded in the hardware. Next, booting process. So what are the steps of a booting process? The power supply activates, means you switch it on. BIOS runs post. BIOS, Basic Input Output System, it runs post. What is post? Power on, self-test. The moment the power is on, the system checks whether everything is okay or not. It checks itself whether everything is okay or not. So that is called power on self-test. Bootloader loads OS, operating system, from HDD or SSD into RAM. So whether you have hard disk, in whatever disk is there inside, that memory is there, that is loaded into RAM, and then the control is given to the operating system. Now, apart from BIOS, in some devices, UEFI is responsible for this process, for the post process. The full form of UEFI is Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. So when you see questions about post, it will say BIOS oblique UEFI does the post, that way. Okay, BIOS and UEFI both can conduct post, which is power on self-test. I'll give you a minute to let this thing sink in. Remember the steps of the process. Clear? Clear with the booting process? This is what happens every time you switch on your computer or laptop. Next, inside the CPU cabinet, you can add expansion cards like graphic cards for better display, especially for gaming. You need to add this. A sound card is there for audio input, output, and network interface card, NIC, is added if you are connecting it with the local internet or using a wire, not for the Wi-Fi. When you are connecting local internet using that wire, using that internet port, that is when network interface card is useful. Now these are usually there inside the CPU cabinet. We just need to remember the purpose and also the full form of NIC. Next, embedded systems. I talked about it before, but let's see it very specifically. These are special purpose computers inside larger machines, limited functionality, but very high reliability, like smartwatch. It's a watch, but then it also has computing functions. AC, we have smart ACs. All these smart devices have computers inside them. Smart washing machine, but these are not general purpose computers. They have a very specific purpose. Their programs are very specific for the purpose of that machine, that smart machine. These kind of computers are called embedded systems. Okay, now these are a few things that you should remember, because these are some favorite tidbits asked in UGC NET papers. Power supply unit, PSU. It converts AC power. If you remember, if like you are aware, our house has AC power, alternating current. The current switches from like goes from this side to this side, and it then after a few milliseconds it goes from this side to this side. So when you touch it, you do not get a continuous electric current. When it changes, your finger can go away. Otherwise we wouldn't have those microseconds of shocks. We would be continuously touching it and dying even inside the home. That is why our houses have AC, alternating current. DC is direct current, continuous, which is there in high tension electric poles. So when those wires fall down in water, there's a continuous electric current coming. Okay. Now power supply unit changes our AC current of the house to DC current. It supplies regulated voltage to internal components. It prevents overheating and short circuit. Okay, that's the purpose. Peripheral devices. All the devices which are connected externally to the laptop or the computer are called peripheral. See, center, periphery. Things which are outside the boundary or near the boundary, they are called periphery. Periphery is the boundary. So peripheral devices are things that are outside the computer. Printer, scanner, external drive, webcam, modem. All of these are connected to the computer, but they are not inside. They are externally connected. So they are also called peripheral devices. You need to just remember the meanings of these words. Virtual memory versus physical memory. So physical memory is that random access memory chips. That is a physical memory. Now the part of the hard disk which is used as RAM when RAM is full, that is called virtual memory. This is the difference between the two. Hardware security. Now how do we keep the hardware secure? First, TPM, Trusted Platform Module, is a security chip. BIOS and UEFI has a password. It prevents unauthorized booting. And firewall hardware, it protects the network from threats. So hardware ka firewall hai, it also protects the hardware. I'll give you a moment to read and understand this slide again, and then we go forward. You might be thinking that as teachers, why do we need to know this if we are not computer engineers? But I guess probably this was added so that we stay up to date with the latest technology, and then we can utilize it for teaching. Next, again, these are some tidbits which have been commonly asked in different formats of questions. Like, what's the brain of computer? That is CPU. It's not a direct question. You have 4 statements. You have to find out the correct one, or 2 statements, find out which one is true, which one is false, or match A with B. RAM, volatile memory, loses data when power is off. This is one of their favorite questions, RAM and ROM, because it is confusing. Which one is volatile, which one is non-volatile. ROM, non-volatile memory retains data after shutdown. See, how I memorize RAM for me is whenever I go to buy a smartphone. Whenever you go to buy a smartphone, you will ask for RAM. Then how much is the RAM of the phone? The more the RAM, the more the things you can store in it. Okay, but that is all temporary. So I remember it like that. RAM for the phone. So in laptop, things go away when in the RAM, the moment I shut it off. So RAM is for mobile and laptop, and you will not find anyone asking for ROM for the smartphone. So ROM is specific, very stable memory of computer. That is how I have remembered it. Now you can think of your own story and connection with it and remember it, but you need to remember it. It is one of their favorite questions. ALU plus CU, arithmetic logic unit plus control unit, is equal to CPU, central processing unit. It is not storage. CPU is not storage. It is for processing only. Motherboard connects all the components. They are there in the motherboard. SSD, solid state drive, is faster than hard disk drive. SSD has no moving parts. HDD, hard disk drive, has moving parts. Output device, printer, monitor. Okay, input device, mouse, scanner. Okay. And the last topic in hardware, memory size. Now see, memory size is in thousands. It goes in thousands. In India, we usually have calculations in hundreds. You know, after 100, there is 10,000, there is 1 lakh. There is no 1 lakh when it comes to American counting system. They directly have 10 lakhs, which is 1 million. Okay. And after that, they don't have a crore. They don't say crore. They call it 10 million. From there, for them, it is directly 1,000, 100, 1,000 is 1 million, 1,000 million is 1 million. So their systems are all into 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So here also in computers, memories, it is all into 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. 30, add 3 zeros into 10 raised to 3 every time. Okay. Bit is 0 or 1. It's a small bit. It's just a storage space device which can store either a 0 or 1. Byte is 8 bits. A nibble is half byte, that is 4 bits. 1 bit, nibble is 4 bits, byte is 8 bits. Okay. After that, you have kilobytes, KB. KB file size is kilobytes. That is 1,000 bytes. But it is not exactly 1,000. It is exactly 1024. How much is it? 1024. Please remember this. There are sums asked based on this. That if I'll show you the question. Do I have the question in this PPT or do I have it? No, I have it in my, I was probably planning to do all the questions together. So maybe tomorrow I'll show it. So the question, it goes like this, that If one song requires 1 MB of space, then for 2000 songs, if one song requires 1 MB, if for 2000 songs, how much space is required? So now 2000 becomes 1000 becomes GB. So then your answer becomes 2 GB. So if you don't know these units, you will not be able to answer question. They also have questions like one song of 1 MB requires 5 minutes. So for 20 minutes, how much MB, for 20 minutes worth of songs, how much MB is required? So 5 minutes into 4 is 20 minutes. So 1 MB into 4, the answer is 4 MB. These kind of calculation questions are also asked. They can be calculated very easily, or very rarely you need to use 1024. That based on 1024 you calculate. Otherwise, mostly using thousands you can. Okay. So that is why this is an important slide. Rote memorization, 1000 bytes, kilobytes, 1000 kilobytes or KB is megabytes or MB. 1000 megabytes, MB is 1 gigabyte, GB. 1 terabyte or TB is 1000 GB. 1 petabyte, TB is 1000 TB or terabyte. After that, you have exabyte, zettabyte, and yottabyte. Just remember till this much. Okay. 1 KB is like few paragraphs. 1 MB is almost like a 1 minute of an MP3 song. And 1 GB is a 30-minute HD movie. 1 TB is about 200 full HD movies. Okay. That is roughly the storage space. So you need to remember it as bit, nibble, byte, and then directly in 1024. Multiply everything. Kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte. Take a screenshot and memorize it. Is this clear with the concept? And how is it asked? It can also be asked as match A with B. Next. Like this, they ask it. Sometimes they also ask it, instead of gigabyte, they will write 10000000000 byte. Now we have to count those 3 zeros and convert it into whatever the answer is. And then you have to see which of this is the bigger or the smaller one. They'll write 1 KB, 1 MB, and then 1 and then 9 zeros and byte. So now you get confused. So then you have to count the zeros. Those questions, kind of questions have also been asked, where then you probably they ask you to convert it. Okay, match A with the year. Kilobyte, gigabyte, terabyte, megabyte. 8 billion bits, 8 million bits, 8,000 bits, 8 trillion bits. Others still counting? Okay, see, 1 byte is 8 bits. So that is why there is 8 written. Otherwise, you need to simply think kilobyte is, kilo is 1000. 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. At least that is what I expect you to know, that 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. So kilo is equal to 1000. Okay. Your answer is 1. Next. This is a question from ports and cables. Like, what would, if which of the following would create the most stable computer network with the fastest data transmission? Wireless access point to connect devices, connecting devices wirelessly using mobile phone. I think this is probably a network question. which I have put here. But anyways, let's know the answer. The most stable computer network, where can it be created with wireless access point to connect devices? Connect devices wirelessly using mobile phone, use coaxial cables, or connect devices to a switch using optic fiber cables. So your answer is optic fiber cables, which is what is happening with 4G. Okay, another paragraph kind of question where you have 5 options and you need to fill in the options. In the context of human-computer interaction, a dash is an interface built around visual things, and Windows 11 is an example of dash. Dash is the region of the screen used to display information. Dash is a small picture that is used to represent folders softwares, whereas dash is a list of options that the user can select from. Okay, I think it's a software question. But still, it is based on our basic understanding of how we use laptops. Okay, so this screen that we see, which is filled with visual things, what is that interface called? Number one, Windows 11 is an example of what? The region of the screen which is used to display information is called what? A small picture that represents the folders and softwares. What is it called? And a list of options from which the user can select the things. What is that called? So the answer is 3. The interface is called GUI, graphic user interface. Okay, Windows 11 is OS or operating system. It is the region of the screen where information is displayed is called the window. The small picture which represents folders is called icon, and the list of options is called menu. With reference to computer components, which of the following... Okay, something happened. Yeah. With reference to computer components, which of the following statements are correct? A hard drive has no moving parts. A fan is required to cool down CPU. Accessing information in a hard drive is faster than accessing information in RAM. When power is switched off, any information stored in hard drive is lost. For any given amount of memory, RAM is more expensive than hard drive. And I have shown you the answer. I'm so sorry. Okay, this was the slide that I was supposed to show you. So your answer is 4. I didn't realize I went to the next slide. Okay, so why the answer is 4? A hard drive has moving parts. SSD does not have moving parts. Fan is required to cool down. We already know that. Accessing information in hard drive is slower than RAM. When power is switched off, information stored in hard drive is not lost. So that is why it is wrong. And yes, RAM is more expensive than hard drive, because with increase in RAM, the cost also increases. Even for smartphones, with a 64 GB RAM and a 32 GB RAM would cost you different. Think of it that way. Next. Motherboard, BIOS, CMOS, HTTP. What stores the date, time, and system configuration for BIOS? Next, allows processor and other hardware to function and communicate with each other. Next, transfers the content of web pages into web browser for viewing, and initializes and tests the system hardware components when an OS loads when a computer is turned on. So yes, 3 is your answer. Motherboard. Okay, it allows processor and other hardwares to function and communicate with each other. BIOS, initialize and test the system hardware components. CMOS. CMOS is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, we have heard the semiconductor factories are there in Taiwan and I think quite a bit of East Asia countries. They are leading in production of this semiconductors. So this CMOS is a complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It stores the date, time, and system configuration for BIOS. And HTTP, it transfers the content of web pages into web browser for viewing. Our next topic is software. Hardware was a longer topic than software. Software is a little bit shorter. Software is a set of programs, instructions, and data that tell the hardware what to do. Unlike hardware, software is intangible. Intangible means you cannot touch it. Tangible, you can physically touch it. Intangible, you cannot physically experience it. Key differences between software and hardware. Software is tangible? No. Hardware is tangible. Function of the software, logical processing. Function of the hardware, physical operations. When a software fails, what happens? There are bugs, there are errors. When a hardware fails, either there is no display or there is burning smell. Hence, probably overheating has happened. Examples of software, OS, operating system, applications. Hardware, CPU, RAM, monitor. Okay. Now let's start with system software. What is a system software? It manages and controls all the hardware components and provides a platform to run other software. The first example of system software is operating system, also called OS. It manages the hardware or the software. Windows, Mac OS, Linux, these are the examples. It is the interface between user and hardware. Okay, Mac OS is there in iMacs, Apple's. Utility software. Now these are maintenance tools, antivirus, disk cleaner, compression tools, device drivers, interface between OS and the hardware, like printer drivers, okay, and firmware. These are semi-permanent softwares. They are not exactly softwares. Embedded system instructions like BIOS and UEFI. Now let's talk about operating systems. There are 6 kinds of operating systems. Batch OS, the early mainframe OS, olden era. There was no user interaction. Multi-programming, IBM systems. Many programs were being operated in RAM at once. Multitasking OS. Multiple apps are running at the same time. Like my PPT is going on, my Google Meet is also going on. And maybe in background, a Word file must be open, a PDF must be open, a folder must be open. Many programs, multiple apps are running at once. Multi-user OS. Unix, Linux. Many users can be there on one system. Okay. Even on Windows, there can be like my laptop does have 2-3 people logging onto the system, right? At home, everyone has a different desktop screen that they want to see. But all the folders are accessible to everyone. They are common. So maybe that is why. Real-time OS is not used in our laptops and computers. It is used in embedded systems. Okay. Robotics, aeronautics, smart machines, RT Linux and QNS are their example. Distributed OS. It is an operating system which runs across multiple machines. Amoeba and Locus are 2 examples. This is just for your knowledge, especially because in multiple option questions, these names can be asked. That is why. Operating system. What are the functions of an OS? What does an OS do? It does process management, controls execution of processes, memory management, whether to allocate this in RAM, whether to allocate this in ROM, whether to allocate this in hard disk. That memory management, what goes in cache, that is its job. File management, manages data storage in files, which file is stored where. Device management, coordination of input and output devices, coordination with the mouse, coordination with the printer, scanner. Security and access, user authentication. Without my password, it will not open my laptop. Data protection and user interface. CLI like DOS or GUI like Windows, the user interface. Okay, so that was about operating systems. Okay. A few key concepts related to this. Booting starts the computer and loads the OS. Okay. Compiler versus interpreter. Compiler are okay. So this slide is at a wrong place. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. First, let's solve this question. Because there's a concept that I need to teach you before we discuss those concepts. Let's solve the system software questions first. Which of the following software titles are example of system software? Ubuntu, Google Docs, MS Office, Android, and Chrome OS. So the answer is 3. Chrome OS is an OS. So OS is a system software. Android OS is what we have in our smartphones. And Ubuntu is also an OS. Why not Google Docs and MS Office? Because they are called application software. Just like system software is what runs the basic system, application software helps the user perform specific tasks. MS Office is an application software, not a system software. They are of different kinds. General purpose like MS Word, Excel, VLC, Photoshop. Customized like a billing software for a specific company. A school software on which the entire data of that school is there. ERP is enterprise resource programming. So web applications, Gmail, Google Docs, Canva, mobile apps, WhatsApp, Zoom, Duolingo. Browsers, Chrome, Firefox are application software. But if it is written Chrome OS, then it's Chrome operating system. That's a system software. FTP is file transfer protocol, which is for uploading or downloading files. So clear with this? So let's see again here. MS Office and Google Docs. These are application softwares. Which of the following are examples of application software? MS Excel, Android, Adobe Photoshop, iOS, Windows 11. So answer is 3, A and C. MS Excel and Adobe Photoshop. because Android OS is in smartphones, iOS is Apple's operating system, and Windows 11 is anyways an operating system. So they are system software. Next, programming software. It is used by developers to write, test, and debug software. Text editors like Notepad, Sublime, compilers, GCC, Turbo, C++. They convert code from high level to machine language. Interpreters, Python, JavaScript. They execute instructions written in programming or scripting language. Debuggers, GDB. And IDEs like Eclipse or Visual Studio Code. They are integrated development environments. Okay. So booting means starting the computer and loading OS. Compiler versus interpreter. Compiler does full translation at once. It converts full translation of the code from high level to machine language. Whereas interpreter goes line by line. Okay. Python, JavaScript, they execute instruction line by line. Linux is a multi-user, multitasking, open source OS. Windows is a multi-user, multitasking, not open source, proprietary. You have to byte OS. Apart from this, three kinds of softwares, that is system software, application software, and programming software, there's something called middleware, which acts as a bridge between OS and applications, especially in distributed systems like database middleware, messaging middleware. We just need to know the meaning of this. That's it. That what is it? It's a bridge between OS and applications. Next, this is something that is again a favorite topic. Freeware, shareware, open source, and proprietary. Which one is open source? Which one is free? Which one is free, not licensed? This is again a favorite question for UGC NET. What is a freeware? Free to use? The source code is hidden like Skype, Adobe Reader. Okay. Shareware is free trial and then you pay like WinRAR. Open source. It is free and the source code is also available like Linux, LibreOffice. You can not just get it for free, the entire coding is also available for free. Proprietary, it is paid and closed source like Windows and MS Office. When we pay for our laptops, we are also paying for Windows systems. Okay. So these are 4 categories of software by licensing. Open source versus free software, because this is a very favorite question. So free source focuses on the freedom to use, share, and modify also. It's a free software foundation. All free software is open source. Open source focuses on transparency and collaboration. It's an open source initiative. Not all open source is free software. It could have some restrictions for payment. Okay, ChatGPT is open source, but it has a premium version. It gives you a specific restriction that it will now, after 5 hours, your limit will be reset that way. That's the difference between free software and open source. Clear with this? Free and open source. Okay. With reference to open source software, which of the following statements are correct? It is a software that is distributed with a source code. It allows anyone to modify the software to best fit their needs. It is a software that anyone can use on a trial basis before paying for it. And Linux is an example of open source software. Okay, so the answer is 1. It is a software that is distributed with its source code. It does not allow anyone to modify. It allows anyone to modify the software. It is not proprietary, but you don't have to pay on a trial basis for it. It's not proprietary. Linux is an example of open source software. There could be restrictions, but you don't need to pay for it. Do you know on ChatGPT, you can, if you are someone who's a computer programmer, you can create your own GPTs. Like there's DALI GPT. One of my coaches has created his own GPT, like that if you ask a question to this on this code, it will answer as if I was answering you. Okay, so you can play with the code, you can modify it, but there are some restrictions. It's not free. It's not called free software. It is called open source software. Cloud-based software. Okay, this is just for your information, full forms and understanding. SaaS, something that we have seen a lot of times. It's software as a service. Google Docs. The software is there on the cloud, on the internet. It is not there on laptop. Google Docs can be opened only when the internet is on. Zoom. Use online software without installing it. You don't need to install it. Do you need to install Zoom? No. It does not work on your laptop. It works on cloud. It is used by end users. PaaS, platform as a service, Google App Engine. It is for developers to build apps and it is used by developers. IaaS, infrastructure as a service, AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Azure. They are virtual machines, storage servers, and IT admins use them for infrastructure. Okay. These are 3 kinds of cloud-based software. They are stored in the cloud, not on your device. Okay. So cloud storage. In cloud computing, which of the following are the advantages of using cloud storage? If you are using cloud storage, what's the advantage? Data files of customers stored on the cloud can be accessed at any time from any device anywhere in the world, provided internet access is available. There is no need for customers to carry an external storage device with them or use same computer to store and retrieve information. If the computers have slow internet connection, then they would not face any problems accessing or downloading their data files. Cloud storage is typically delivered by a cloud service provider. Which of this is advantage of using cloud storage? Almost there. Yeah, the answer is 2. See, they would face problems. If the internet connection is slow, your Gmail will on Google Drive will take time to load. So that C statement is false. Okay. It is actually a disadvantage of cloud storage. That if the internet connection is slow, the files will take longer to load. Next, what are the advantages of using cloud computing? Word processing software. The user does not have to install word processing software on computer. The user does not have to allocate space to install software in hard disk. Storage space to save document is provided by the cloud provider. The user can open or edit document from any computer which has internet facility. And if the user has slow internet connection, then she would not face any problem accessing or downloading documents. Cloud computing word processing software. An example is Google Docs. It's there in the cloud and Docs processes Word documents. So here again, slow internet connection is a problem. Everything else is actually a benefit. A, B, and C are true. D is false. If the internet connection is slow, they will have a problem. Next, different types of file extensions. Okay, when you save a file, there is an extension at the end to show what type of file it is. .txt is text, .docx or is docs, that is Microsoft Word. .pdf is a PDF file. Images, JPNG, PNG, GIF. Okay. Audio files, MP3, WAV, then MIDI. All of these are audio files. Executable files. These are programs, applications. When you install them, it is .exe and .apk kind of files. Programs that you install, new apps that you download are usually they're downloaded in the form of .exe, and then you install them in your laptop. Compressed files. The file size is made smaller. They become .zip or .rar. RAR. Spreadsheet, Excel sheets, .xls, .csv. PowerPoint presentations, .ppt. Okay. So these file types and extensions are sometimes asked in exam. Just for your knowledge, there are 3 kinds of file system types. FAT32 is in USB drives. It is older and it has wide compatibility. NTFS is used in Windows OS. It is advanced and secure. ext4 is used in Linux. It is general file system. This NTFS is used with Windows and ext is used with Linux. It's a question that keeps on being asked in different ways. NTFS, Windows, ext, Linux. Just remember it that way. FAT32, USB. NTFS, Windows, ext, Linux. Okay. Match A with B. File extension and file type. Yes, 2 is the answer. Okay. .doc is a word file, .jpg is image file, .mp3 is audio, and .mov is video file. CLI versus GUI. Command line interface, text commands used in MS-DOS, and it is faster for experts. GUI, a graphical user interface, is visual. Like on Windows, there are icons, you click on it. Example is obviously Windows user interface, and it is easier for beginners. For those who know computer programming well, they can use MS-DOS. That is called command line interface. Like you type /run/ and then commands are typed like that. For us, clicking on the button of save and the button of print and button of change the size of the fonts is much easier, because I don't know computer programming. If you know it, MS-DOS is great for you. If you don't, use Windows, GUI, graphical user interface. That's the difference between the two. Another concept based on which questions are asked. Nowadays, we have virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and CAD. So what is virtual reality? It replaces the reality. Is there real world in it? No. But is it an immersive kind of experience? Yes. Is there any interaction level? Full. Okay, like VR games, virtual reality games, where an entire world is created and you play the game. Augmented reality enhances your reality. It's a real world experience. Like 3D movies, the interaction level is limited. Pokemon Go, and there are AR apps. You know, nowadays you have on Amazon, there are some products for which it will say point to a wall in your room and we will show you how it will look in your room. Mixed reality blends real with virtual. Okay, it's real world, it's immersive, high interaction level, HoloLens and surgical planning. So they model, like they prepare how would the surgical planning go, how would the surgery go, and they see what are the possible complications could arise. First that is done, and then the actual surgery is done. CAD is a software which is used to design 2D and 3D models. It is real world, it does not have immersive experience, and there are tools used in it. AutoCAD and SolidWorks are examples of the software. Based on this, mobile games were first to popularize Dash, which uses an image of an actual place or a thing and adds digital information to it. So the background is of something real, and then digitally it is altered to add new things and experiences to it. It is called augmented reality. Virtual reality does not have anything real in it. It is a completely virtual thing. Augmented reality has a background of an actual place and digital information is added. Mixed is a mix of both. Okay, the answer is augmented reality. This is the last part. Software development life cycle. 6 phases of how a software is developed. It is also called SDLC. How a software is made. First of all, the requirement is decided. What the software must do. Like what should Google Meet do? Google Meet should allow online meeting between a lot of people, and it should also have the ability to share data where a screen can be shared. Design, plan structure and user interface. Third, implementation, code is written. Then fourth, testing. After writing the code, it is seen whether it works, that software works or not. Where does it lag? Where does it get stuck? What is not working? Find and fix the bugs. Fifth, deployment. Release it to the users. Now you release it to the users that, okay, use Google Meet. Maintenance. After every few months, there is an update. Bugs are being fixed. New innovative things are added to it. So that is maintenance. Requirement, design, implementation, testing, deployment, maintenance are 6 phases of software development life cycle, in case you are asked. Okay, so some tidbits which are favorites of UGC NET examiners. OS is system software. Antivirus is a utility software. MS Word is an application software. C++ compiler is a programming software. BIOS is a firmware. Linux is both OS and open source software. Software is logical component and intangible. Hardware is processing component and tangible. And a device driver, like drivers to run the printer when you connect it or run the pen drive when you connect it, that's a device driver. It is also a system software. I'll give you a moment to look at this slide. And then we move on to a few questions. Okay. So see here, there's a story with 5 options, and you have to choose the sequence of those options. An operating system that uses windows, icons, menus, and pointers for human-computer interaction is known as post-WIMP interfaces found on devices like iPads, iPods, and mobile phone make use of dash technology that allows us to use our fingers to select icons and menus. It also allows us to use dash, rotating, and swiping techniques. The technology that allows user to store documents and programs and data on internet is dash. And documents created using Google Docs are stored dash on the internet and can be accessed anywhere. No. Think again. Yes, the answer has to be 4. And it is 4. Okay. So see, first, graphic user interface, we already talked about it here, GUI. Mobile phones. Use our fingers to select icon and menus. What is that? Touch screen. Our mobile phones are touch screen. WIMP. Just a moment. Windows icons, menus, pointers. Okay, WIMP is this. Windows icons, menus, pointers. This is WIMP. So after this Windows icons, menus, pointers, that is post WIMP. Interfaces allow us to use pinching. You can pinch the screen, you can rotate it, you can swipe for the touch screen. The technology that allows users to store document on internet is known as cloud computing, and Google Docs are stored remotely. So whenever you store something on the cloud, it is called, they are stored remotely, remote access, access using internet. That is called remote access. So they are stored remotely. Right now, our class is also happening remotely. We are not all together. It is happening online. Clear with this? I'll just take one small topic which is a part of software, that is MS Office, because we all use MS Office and there are specific questions asked on it. MS Office suite has this many programs: MS Word, word processing, letters, reports, books, MS Excel, spreadsheets, Excel sheets, table kind of structure, data analysis, formulas. It also can create bar graphs, charts like that. PowerPoint, presentations, slides, animations, graphics. MS Outlook. It has email, calendar, task manager, inbuilt email. MS Access is database management. It has tables, queries, reports. And MS Publisher is for desktop publishing, like publishing brochures, publishing flyers. OneNote is for digital taking. MS OneNote is for digital note taking. Okay, these are the functions of Microsoft. Like these are the functions of Microsoft applications. Now, important concepts to know. If you have not used this, these are the things that you should like take a screenshot. Once the session ends, if you are not aware of this, go and check these functions in your MS Microsoft apps. In Word, you should know mail merge, like how to merge it with email directly. It connects to Outlook. Spell check, header and footer. Header and footer would be in View. VIEW view menu, you will find header and footer. How to create tables and work on those tables in MS Word, and page layout. Okay, page layout, margins, indentation. File extensions, .doc and .docx. MS Excel. Common formulas. Questions are asked based on common formulas. Sometimes sum is asked, sum if is asked. They'll give you a table of data and they will also ask you to calculate it. Charts and graphs. How are they created? Cell referencing, relative and absolute. We'll see a question based on that. So what happens in cell referencing is, in MS Excel, if you drag the formula changes, like A1, 8 plus A2 is equal to that you have written in A3. So if you drag it from A3 to B3, the formula will become B1 to B2. That is called relative reference. But if you use dollar sign, it gets locked and it will not change from A1 to B1. It will remain A1 only. That is called cell referencing. So practice that. Just see how it works. File extension XLS or XLS apps. MS Access, tables, queries, forms, reports. File extension .mdb, .accdb. Just take a look at it, how it looks. MS Outlook is just like your Gmail. It is, I would say Gmail is a better looking version, but MS Outlook is there inbuilt. It comes with the Office suite. Email client, calendar scheduling. It supports POP3, IMAP, and Exchange. Okay. MS PowerPoint, slide transitions, animations, master slide. Master slide is if you make any change in the master slide, you go to view and there will be slide master. Any change that you make in slide master will be there in all your slides. Like if you see, here's the logo of Nucleus of Learning and Development. So I just have to put the logo in the slide master and it will be there by default in all the slides. That way. File extension .ppt, pptx. So these are the important concepts of MS Word. Based on that, a few questions which have been asked. Which of the following statements about spreadsheet software MS Excel are true? Data and spreadsheets are always correct. Spreadsheet software cannot draw bar graphs. It automatically recalculates. Spreadsheet software automatically recalculates. And some cells in spreadsheet can be locked to prevent a user changing its content. Okay, so the answer is C and D. Spreadsheet software can draw bar graphs based on the data that you enter in the Excel sheet. Bar graphs can be made, pie charts can also be made. Okay. Spreadsheet software automatically recalculates. If you have put up a formula and if you have changed the data in the other cell, here automatic recalculation will happen. Also, as I explained, relative and absolute reference. Some cells in spreadsheet can be locked. That is reference. If you are sharing a Excel sheet with someone, you can actually lock some cells so that no one else can change the content of that cell. For A and B, it can draw bar graphs, so B is wrong. And data in spreadsheet may not be correct. It depends on the user. User enters the data, right? How can we say that everything written in an Excel sheet is correct? We enter the data in Excel sheet. Okay. So then you have a question like this. Formula is equal to B. Then you have a dollar sign, which locks the cell. 1 plus C $3 plus 5 in cell D9. When copied to cell F12 will become think of it. Take a moment. So here what happens is D becomes F. So it is scrolled 2 rows below. So B will become C, D. B becomes D. But there is absolute here dollar sign. So this cell is locked. It will not change. So that is why 1 will remain 1. Here also C, D, E. C will change to E, but here 3 is locked. So it will not change. So whenever you want to lock a cell, you use the dollar sign and so no one can change it in the formula. That is called absolute cell reference. If you lock it like this, both the column and the row would be locked. If you lock it like this, only the column is locked. If you lock it like this, only the row is locked. I hope you know that in an Excel sheet, A, B, C, D are the columns and 1, 2, 3, 4 are the rows. And if there is no dollar sign, you just write A1. Both the things will be changed when you change the formula. Okay. Next, Microsoft PowerPoint comes with several categories of built-in transition effects. Which of this is not a transition effect supported by PowerPoint? Subtle, speed, exciting, dynamic content. Just give a guess. Transition effect happens when one slide changes to another. The answer is speed. Subtle, exciting, and dynamic content are there. Okay. Error message in MS Excel. If it shows this kind of message, error message, what is this meaning? If it shows this message, what is the meaning? If it shows this message, what is the meaning? Paper 2 class has started. Okay. For those who the class has started, they can leave and watch the last 10 minutes in the recording when it is uploaded tomorrow. C, hashtag reference, and D, hashtag div. So yes, 2 is the answer. This hashtags means when a cell contains a number that is too wide for the result to be displayed. So you need to make the column or the row bigger. This value means there is arithmetic formula which contains text instead of number. Hashtag ref shows that formula contains a cell reference that is pointing to an invalid cell. And hash div 0 is when you divide a number that points to an empty cell. So this is the last question. Microsoft Access is an example of what? It is an example of database management system. That ends today's session.